What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. The STL Bucket List Show is driven by Bomarito Automotive Group. Bomarito is Missouri's #1 car dealership with over 20 locations, so I guarantee that there's one in your neighborhood. Since the 1970s, Bomarito has sold over 1 million cars, and John and the entire team made us feel completely comfortable when we picked up our new vehicle recently for the family. So I can't thank the Bomarito team enough for driving this episode forward, and enjoy the show.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune into the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home, yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. Our co-host, Marissa, is not here today. We are at home celebrating the birth of our first child, our daughter. Mila is at home. Marissa's going to be back in a couple weeks, but we just want to give her some time off. I'm back in the studio today celebrating our 102nd episode. So 102, we've been doing this podcast now for 2 years. And really, we couldn't do it without you guys listening. But more importantly, also our sponsors that help us fund the show, including Bomarito. Got our new car, had to get that 4-door, something nice for the family. That's been nice and it's been a blessing for us. And then, of course, our friends over at Four Hands for always keeping us thirst quenched on the show. And then the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis for always just being loyal to us and supporting local art in St. Louis. But today, for those of you that live in St. Louis and have lived in St. Louis for a long time, you guys have probably eaten this sandwich. So I got Gioia's Deli in here. If you guys haven't, for my Hot Salami, if you're watching on YouTube, check out my Hot Salami. But I got Alex Donley, the owner of Gioia's Deli. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you. This is great. I've listened to you quite a bit, so I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I think I don't know if I've ever done this, but I always look at people from a distance, and I like what you do on social media.
Oh, thank you.
And I can tell that it's the owner doing it.
It's just me, yeah.
There's a lot of people, there's a lot of businesses, and we have a social media company, so we help people with social media, but there's a lot of businesses that they don't have a voice, and I can see your voice through social media.
Thank you.
But that's real work, though.
Yeah,
that's another full-time job.
Yeah, and it's like I think that's one of the things. I was 04, I was a freshman in college, and it was the year that Facebook came to college.
Yeah.
So I had the Mizzou.edu, and I was a Facebook guy from the beginning, and I brought it to my mom, and I was like, hey, we need a Facebook page before there was such a thing as a business page.
Yeah, so you made a personal page.
And then I was
you can only have 5,000 friends.
Yeah, and then I was like, and it was a Gioia's, so I've always done it.
Yeah.
And it's just I've just developed a voice, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. So. It's real, and it's everything in business nowadays.
Yeah, it is. It's like you do now. I tell people, it's like I have people that follow me and want to hear what I have to say, and that's such an honor. But then it's also, it's a big deal. You have to do it right, and you have to say, So I take it very seriously.
And the coolest part about it is when you guys do holiday orders, you make that post, and how quickly you see people come and order everything.
Yeah.
It's just that post generated thousands and thousands of dollars worth.
Yeah,
of sales.
we're gonna sell these for Valentine's Day. I haven't actually put them up yet, but. Yeah. They'll be gone.
Yeah,
in a couple hours.
These are sick. They can play soccer in that park across the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Barrett
Park, right there. Yeah.
But before we get too deep into the story, I want to hear a little bit about Gioia's, and for the people that are listening, I'm sure they've had a hot salami sandwich, but they might not know the rich history that you guys have in St. Louis. So tell us the history of Gioia's, and as long as you want, just kind of go through it, and then how you guys and your family got involved with it as well.
Of course. So. 105 years ago, 1918. Well, now it's 106 years ago. Geez, it's 2024. 106 years ago, Charlie Gioia came over from Italy and built Gioia's Deli. It was called Gioia's Market at the time. He was from northern Italy, which is the further north you go, the more sausage. It's all about sausage. Mm-hmm. So he brought his family's recipe of salam di testa over from Italy. He was and he created a market. It's a bodega basically. They did groceries and they served a 5-6 block radius, and they had the ledger. You go in Italian, you order and then they would have little kids run out and deliver the food. So that's what it was until 1980. Charlie owned it, and then his sons took it over, Steve and John, and Steve and John ran it. They had a butcher shop. They did sandwiches on Saturday. They made all their sausage, laganiga, salsiccia, all the good stuff. I have all those recipes handwritten by Steve Gioia, and then of course hot salami. And then in 1980, my mom was in the grocery business, and she drove by, going up Mackland, and she lived in Tower Grove. Drove by and saw a little for sale sign in the window, and she went in, and her and my grandma and my dad they bought it. They bought the building and the house next door, and the best part about it is that Steve and John stayed on for another 10 years.
Wow.
Because they just were like, we don't want to see this fail. So they transitioned the business from the Gioia family to the Donley family. And the one thing my mom saw was she saw that the small grocery store was not really where the money was. We had stuff on the shelves that was 2 years old, but we were seeing 600 people every Saturday when we put hot salami on bread. And so she was the one that took the groceries out, turned it into a sandwich shop. From the deli, and we make our roast beef, we make our hot salami, we make all of our sausage. We're a sausage company that sells sandwiches, and she was the one that brought that in. And then I was born in '85. I always worked there. I was making hot salami. I'm the third born boy, and my brother is 5 years older than me, and then I have a brother 2 years older than me. We were making hot salami with the butcher. When we were, I had to be able to see. I stood on a milk crate, and we had a hand stuffer, and I would stuff when I was like 10 years old.
I'm sure there's pictures of it, and it's
like
the old school pictures.
My apron is everybody thinks it's a dress because it's touching my shoes.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, I didn't know that there was only two owners. So it's really, in that transition of the Gioia's family, Steve and all them, into your family was a 10-year thing.
Yeah,
I mean, they were
Steve,
like working with the recipes. Your mom was soaking up all the info that she could get. From
absolutely,
the family.
And it's really cool. So Mary Gioia, her name is Mary Felix, but Mary Gioia lived next door. So when I was a great example of how in tune to this I was one time I was making hot salami and I accidentally overcooked it because you boil it, and I overcooked it, and she came. She smelled it, came in, and yelled at me. She's like, "You're overcooking the hot salami," and it was just because I got busy. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Mary, I'm so sorry." She's like, "You're not serving that to the customers."
Oh, and she was next door, and she
smelled it, came down the street, and yelled at me. She knocked on the door. I opened it, let her in because it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, "Oh, Mary, I'm so sorry." And then I, threw it out. And like that's what that is. That's the neighborhood. Everybody's watching out to make sure that we preserve the quality. And I was born in it. I was raised in it. That's all I did. That's my only job I ever had. Like I always say, me and my wife are high school sweethearts. I've had one girlfriend and one job my whole life.
Wow, you're very lucky.
Yeah, I'm very consistent.
Yeah, consistent.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that's amazing. So when you say your only job, so you really started working there in high school a lot, even before high school.
Yeah.
Back when it didn't matter how old you were, you could work anywhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, everybody that family owns small businesses knows you're working when you can work.
So then you went off to college. So then you went to Mizzou, right?
Yep.
So when you went to Mizzou, were you still thinking about the deli, or
no?
You were probably focused on doing something else.
Well,
let me get out of the deli.
I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
I love kids, and I wanted to be a middle school history teacher and a basketball coach.
Yeah.
I still coach my kids' basketball team, but I realized I student taught in 2007, and I quickly realized that I don't have the patience to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher. I wanted to be in charge. And then in 2008 the economy crashed, so I came home and I was like, "Mom, you mind let me pick up some shifts at the deli?"
Yeah.
And within 2 weeks, I was like, "This is what I want. I love this place." And I always have. I always loved it. My brothers really didn't want anything to do with it because, but I came home and worked whenever she needed me. I always worked the holidays every summer. And I would turn down opportunities at other things because I was like, I need the deli. I need to recharge back home at the deli.
Yeah.
And so I realized I was in love with it. So I started working. I was like, "Mom, you mind if I help you run it?" And then, from 2008 to 2016, I cut my teeth, and then 16, my mom was ready to sell it to me. So we transitioned, and I became owner in 2016 with my wife, Amanda.
Wow. So did your wife work there too, or was it?
No. My wife's an attorney. She's I married up.
Yeah, there you go.
She's also from South City, but she grew up on the same.
I know. I'm
block
bummed
as
she
me.
couldn't make it today with us.
Yeah, she's picking up she's picking up the kids from school. But so she was actually working in the federal government.
Okay.
She's an attorney, and she loved it. But like we started having kids as you're going through right now. and you're a business owner, so you understand this. There's a lot of freedom in owning a business. So it ended up being she was working 70 hours a week in the federal government as an attorney, and I was the one that was filling in, and I was picking up the baby from Rose from daycare, and she's like, I want your freedom, and she's like, and you have so much passion. Like every hour you put into that deli, deli gives it back to you.
It does.
Where she, she's sitting in an office, like in the, no window, and she kind of got the entrepreneurial bug. Yeah. She came in, and she's the one that really blew up the deli because she's really smart. She understands systems. She understands processes. She went to journalism school at Mizzou, so she understands advertising. So she's the one that really helped us from the mom and pop, my business to now we have over 60 employees, 4 locations, a commissary catering business. So
it helps that she's an attorney partner too. So I'm sure that she's able to kind of help save some money in that.
Oh
as well.
Whenever you get to that point,
especially
where
with locations and other locations,
a lease
agreements. And you guys franchise or no?
Oh, absolutely
not yet,
or
not at all.
That's an F word to us right now.
It is. Okay.
So we don't use the franchise word in our family. No, we own everything. But I mean, but if there's a lot of good to a franchise, like systems, processes, how you set it up, how you make them that each store accountable to their numbers. So we run it like that. So just stuff like that where she had that, she's a high level thinker and then I was the passion guy, and we kind of married the two, and now we're thriving. We love it.
And that's the beautiful thing. You mentioned like every hour or dollar you put into your business, you get back. And one mentor told me that before, and he was like, although you're not making money, this is when I was losing money. I mean, I was like, dude, I've been working for 2 years. Like I haven't made any money. And he's like, hey, but every dollar that you're putting into your business is going to be worth something later on. Yeah. Like your wife had this amazing job working as an attorney, but it's like the second something happens and she's not able to have that job, everything she worked for is gone. And at least with you, it's like, okay, if we are having a baby, or like right now my business is running without me right now, and this is the first time that I've ever taken 2 or 3 weeks off.
Wow.
But now I'm
congratulations.
But now I'm like, okay, wow, it actually works. And like people are like, hey, we're doing good. Like people are kind of like me not being there all the time. And in a weird way they're like, but now I'm like, okay, now I can maybe step back and look and work on other things. So it's like, hey, how can we work on business development? Because you at the commissary at 6 a.m. probably isn't the best use of your time, but you still have to do it sometimes.
Yeah, of course. And I love doing it. And that's what's really great about it is I've done it all. And I mean, I was the kid. I was the one. I was the one spraying off the sidewalk every night from the snow cone shack when my mom owned a snow cone shack. Like I did everything. So I swept the floors until 2016. Like my mom didn't want anybody cleaning those floors but me because she knew I'd do a good job. So I did it. And it wasn't until I had to take over. She's like, when you get the keys, you can start letting someone else sweep the floor, kind of thing. And so and that's the kind of stuff. Ever since I was a little kid, I knew that if the hot salami didn't get made on Thursday nights, then we could not eat. And when you have that and you realize that's ownership, like that's the entrepreneurial spirit, and that's kind of what was infused in my wife. And now it's like when it comes out like the ice storm, that decision to close that Monday was my decision. And you know how I made that decision? I got up at 4:00 in the morning and drove around the streets and almost killed myself. I was like, well, if I'm going to die, that means, and I'm driving a car with great tires, then I'm not going to have my 60 employees coming in to work today because they don't have as nice, you know what I mean? So it's just like,
but that hurt too. I remember you like you were on your Instagram story, like talking, like, I'm going to let you guys know. Because you want to feed people, you know, and that you have an obligation to the neighborhood.
Well, and now there's so many facets of avenues of revenue streams where it's like DoorDash, online ordering, all these things that before I used to lock the door and answer the phone and be like, hey, we're closed. Now it's like, okay, I got to now let DoorDash know that we're closed. And there's so many different faucets I have to turn off. And it's just, we understand we close and people are like, oh, they closed and now they get it's a day off. It's like, it's the hardest day of the week when you close. It's the hardest day of the year.
Because you got to make calls to everybody. You're texting everybody.
Yeah, and you want to make sure everybody's safe. And
you have a catering order you might have to cancel.
Yeah, we had 3 that we had to move. Luckily, they canceled on us because of the ice. But yeah, it's a lot. But
so 2016. So walk me through buying the business and what made you make that decision. Did you have any doubt or any like cold feet, or were you like, hey, I've been doing this for the last 8 years? So you were 8 years full time, basically, right after college.
I mean, I was.
You were ready. You probably wanted to do it before then.
I wanted to. Well,
how old were you? 30.
I was 31, and we had our second son. We have 4 kids. We had a daughter, Rose, and then George was being born, and then we have a Lewis and Winnie. But George was just born, and it was like my grandparents we have a really close family. My grandparents died on the same day, September 3rd. Okay. Of 2015.
The same exact day.
The same day. They call it like the heartbroken syndrome or something, where
that's real. Yeah.
Yeah. My grandpa died, and my grandmother died 2 hours later.
Wow.
And it was just hugely impactful for my mom, because my grandma was part of the business too. Yeah. And the one thing she told me, she's like, the one thing I love this business, but I don't. It runs me, and I know you have a passion for it. And I want to make sure that I can give that to you. Mm-hmm. And I think she retired a little bit ahead of her time, and she stayed with us for a while. But it was such a gift that she was able to do that for us when she did. And then as soon as we took over, we signed a second lease and we started growing, because we were ready, we were excited, but we weren't going to do anything until we took over ownership, because we didn't want to. That was not her. She didn't want that. So, and that was us that grew.
They want that small business, and they want to be super involved. And so
absolutely.
2016, so you guys were 98 years old.
98 years old,
and then you were like, all right, it's time to turn up. It's time to finally get a second location.
Time.
That's probably the longest time a business has been in business before getting a second location.
I know.
You need to check that.
I know.
That might be the oldest time.
I know. It's like, I think it's time to grow. It's been 98 years. Yeah, and that's the thing. And I love the business, and so we had a food truck. Yeah. And my mom, that was mine. My wife started the food truck. That was the first thing. And we'd come out to here Creve Coeur, and we'd sell out immediately. And like my mom was like, Gioia's is 1934. It's the building. It's the fact that Yogi Berra used to come in. And I agree with her, but I'm like, Mom, this food is really good. Like, people want this food, and we can give this to them, and they can't, so that they don't have to drive into the city all the time, because we're only open 6 hours a day. Yeah. And so then, and then downtown, and like we go to downtown with the food truck and it would sell out. We sold out everywhere we went. I was like, Mom, we need another brick and mortar. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to have more crew. That's too much of a headache. And what she thought was a headache, which is right, because it's the way she thought, I thought of as opportunity, because I was so excited. I was 31 years old.
Yeah.
Like
she was in a different phase of her career.
Yeah, she was in the legacy part, where I was in the growth part. So it was such a gift that she was able to let me take control.
Yeah. So that first location, you got the keys, you signed the lease. How did you identify the location? Was it somewhere that you knew? You're like, hey, I know this spot because of the food truck.
The food truck parked there. It was 9th and Pine downtown.
Oh, okay.
It was downtown, and it was Sauce on the Side. Was moving to a bigger location downtown. And downtown had kind of a renaissance in 08, 09. There was this, like, things just started. Downtown was bustling. And when we went in there, I mean, until COVID, when we had to close it, we were just seeing 400 people a day. Wow. It was a great
Office
spot.
Workers, everybody.
Yeah, it was just, they would come down, and it was 2 hours, and that was it. We were only open from 10 to 2 down there.
And we were killing it.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was just what we did, high volume. We were closed on Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah. It was perfect. It was just like the food truck. And so I was like, well, let's try this. It's low stakes. Everybody wants us down there. And we did our first promotion down there, and we did a hot salami giveaway down there. And we had a line that was 4 blocks deep. It was so cool.
Just for hot salami? Just for a log?
And it was like late 2015, early 2016. Nobody was really doing that stuff yet. And we just put it on social media. And literally, like, we had little 4.5-inch hot salamis, and we just gave them away out of the food truck.
Oh, you were doing all free ones all day long?
And it was just until they were out. And I think I just gave away 600 of them.
So you were just like, hey, we're open. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, we just want you to try hot salami. Yeah. Because that's what the thing is. Ever since I was a little kid, my mom said, don't explain hot salami, just let them try it. Yeah. And so it's like, anybody that walked into Gioia's, I would slice a piece with a bread end and give it to them, let them try it. I'm like, I'm not going to explain it to you. It's not hard salami. It's not spicy. Just try it. And every time they tried it, they ate it. Yeah. And so that's what I want to do everywhere I go.
Once you put mustard on it and all the other good stuff,
then you put some garlic cheese bread on it, then it becomes a real then it becomes the American classic.
Do you miss being downtown?
I do. I love downtown. I thought it was an amazing. We were so lucky, though. I mean, COVID happened in March of 2020. Our lease was up in 2020. Yeah. March of 2020. I literally took all that equipment, moved it out to Maryland Heights, and then we opened Maryland Heights the next year. Wow. So, like, we just took it and put it in Maryland Heights, and that's where our processing facility is. Yeah. We were so fortunate. I mean, downtown took a hit. I mean, we went from seeing 350 people the day before, and then when the lockdown happened, we saw 13. And all that crew was so good that we're like, all right, I need this crew here at the original and at Creve Coeur, because downtown there's nothing going on down there, but Creve Coeur and the original, there's all these densely populated residences that people still want to eat.
So you're at Creve Coeur, Maryland Heights, and then Valley Park, right?
Yep, and then the original, 4 of them. Yeah.
Where's the next one at? You got one? You got one you can leak on the episode?
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
I've been openly talking about this. I would love to have one in St. Charles County.
Yeah.
I mean, both my brothers live out there. It's a great area. I think that everybody out there, when you live in the city and you operate a business in the city, it's like, oh, well, no, they're not going to understand hot salami. Oh, no, they do. People like to eat.
They come down and see you.
People like to eat out there. And everything that goes out there that's local does great, because they want local and they want to support. Local food and local businesses are the fabric and cultural fabric of a township. And that's like what we did with Valley Park. I'm like, the first thing we're going to do in here is we're going to become the local sandwich shop. And that's what I want to do in St. Charles County.
Yeah,
so
I think that you should. I mean, I had Ben Hillman on from High Point, and they're crushing it right
yeah,
now.
I love. Yeah, they do a good job.
He opened up in Cottleville. He said he's killing it.
Oh yeah,
Cottleville's killing it. I'm from Lake St. Louis. That's where I grew up at.
Nice.
So I grew up I went to Wentzville High School. So I'm from way out west.
My brother lives in Wentzville. So isn't that St. Charles County?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the
good.
farthest point.
I was going to say
like the farthest point, but Sauce on the Side moved out there. Sauce on the Side has one on Wentzville Parkway.
He lives in Bear Creek.
The golf course. I know. I golf there a lot.
Oh, do you? Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just like amazed. Like everybody, it's great people.
People have good incomes out there. It's just and a lot of families, and exactly what you have in the Hill is almost on a suburban scale. It's like
exactly.
That, it's like you're not like it's not like going to give you a downtown vibe, but like those people from Wentzville are going to the zoo, and then they're going to one of your places.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to the Hill. It's a field trip.
Yeah, exactly. And then Maryland Heights, we opened Maryland Heights, and we're like, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" Everybody that comes to the window, everybody's like, "Oh, we're from St. Charles County." Yeah. They're taking the page extension.
364. Yep.
364 right to Gioia's, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are driving all this way, and they're like, it's 10 minutes.
So that's the next one, but you don't have anything yet out there.
No, we've been looking. That market is so hot, and we are so we grow. We try to grow really slowly.
Yeah,
like we don't do it. We have them. We have the team. They're ready. They're itching. They pushing me to grow, but like it's got to be the right spot. Yeah. And I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on a spot to build it out and everything. Yeah. It's got to be the right spot, and it's got to be and it's all about parking.
Yeah,
it's so weird, but we see 120 cars an hour. That's a hard spot. You can't go in any spot. You got to move. You got to move some cars.
Because in the Hill, obviously you don't have parking, but you have the street parking.
I have Bear Park.
Okay,
and that's a lot of open parking.
Yeah, and then like even right here in Creve Coeur is not that much, is it?
It's about 50 spots. Oh, it's a lot more than you think. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good.
But it's quick. It's people are there. For
they're
10 minutes.
there for 10, 15 minutes and then they're out. Yeah. Now with online ordering, it's like 2 minutes, or half of our sales now after COVID are online ordering.
Yeah, I think that you can, and like another one was the Sugar Fire guys. I talked to them too, and that's Mike Johnson and them, they're like, we're almost out of spaces because we have a Sugar Fire every 5 miles all throughout St. Louis.
Really?
They just have so many.
That's
I mean, they're
awesome.
everywhere.
And they're doing great.
County. They just opened up in Florissant. They're in South County. They're in Wentzville.
Jeez.
But like with you guys, it's like you have the system down. Now the only hard part about that, and I was talking to Grace Meat and 3, I'm like, when are you guys opening up a second location? It's like it's driving. It's how can I drive between all of the locations? Because you might be at all 4 in one day. Yeah. And then if you add one in St. Charles, that's an extra 30-minute haul.
Exactly.
So it's like, how can we coordinate our day?
I know. It's funny. If you look at a map, you'll notice that all my stores are basically from my commissary, which is where everything's made. It's like a perfect loop back to my house. Like it's like where it's so selfish of me to do that way. But it's true. And then you're right. I mean, driving is a big deal. And that's, people don't realize that. Like, if you're a owner operator like me and Amanda, we touch each store every day. So I spend a lot more time in the car than I used to. And I'm also the way my hack is I'm the one delivering the product a lot of times, because then I can touch base with the managers and everything. So it's been really great there. And then also another thing with scalability is like we make everything ourselves, and that is huge. And we always have for 105 years. And like, that is like our thing. Hot salami, we make that ourselves, and and I'm still the one making it. So like, to be able to scale, we're doing 4,000 pounds a week now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how many pounds you guys are
doing. That's two tons a week we're bringing in and processing. And I'm like, for me, I was making, when I was a little kid, I was making 3 batches, which is 300 pounds. with my two brothers on Thursday nights. And so we scaled it to here, and it's like we can only grow as fast as we can make hot salami. So, and that's another issue. It's like we cannot outsource this. This is our product. We make
it's your
this.
recipe. You
It's
can't-
us.
Yeah.
And so we will only grow if we can supply the stores with enough hot salami.
Are you guys doing a lot of wholesale to any other restaurants or no?
We do. We have a nice little small wholesale business all in Missouri. Like we use Pretzel Boys does Sauce on the Side does some stuff. STL Kolache.
A lot of collaborations.
A lot of
They always mention
collaboration.
your name.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it. Some people do wholesale and you won't know, but like, hey, we want your name on
Yeah,
this stuff.
like I think you actually texted me a picture. We did something with Pizza de Gloria.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
yeah. Oh my
They had
gosh,
a hot
that
salami
pizza was so freaking good.
That-
dude.
and
that
that's
was
ano-
one of the best. I didn't. It didn't sound good to my wife. And
Yeah, of course.
He brought it. The chef recognized us. He's
Yeah,
like, hey,
Joe.
I want to bring. He's like, I want to bring you the owner. Yeah, Joe. I
Yeah,
think
he's
the
a
owner.
good dude.
Yeah, and he was like, hey, I know you guys are STL bucket list. I wanted to bring you this special because
Yeah.
my wife's like, let me just get the pepperoni. I don't want to try anything
Oh, of
crazy.
course.
We ate it and then we were like, went back and bought another one. Like it was like the best pizza. It was so good.
Yeah, he texted me that you
It
were
was
in.
fire.
And then it's like, yeah, he's like that's a perfect example of like that's a guy I admire, I like. I'm like, I'm gonna let him use my brand name on his
Yeah.
pizza. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
And it's
So,
collaboration, and I know that Kolache. I've talked to Russ, I think, over there, and
He's a good dude.
he did something with Pappy's, and it's like these are like staple St. Louis brands, but like there's an obligation for you guys as a staple brand. I mean, it wasn't your family originally, but it's your family now.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's my family. I
it's
mean,
yours.
I was born into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and like you said, like there was only really two generations born into it. Steve and Charlie Gioia, who ran it for 40 years, and now me and my wife. I was born into it, and I'm going to run it for another 50 years. And then my son and daughters hopefully will run it, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
Like I take that very seriously. And like you said though, like I'm not gonna just give away the brand to anybody. I made those mistakes, and I'm not doing that anymore. It's not, for me, it's not, the brand is so much more important than the profitability. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
So,
And I mean, you're always going to make, I say this lightly, but you're always going to make money, but it's like, how can we make a legacy? And that's what you're building
Exactly.
with Gioia's. And from the branding, like investing in, like, you don't have to do these. You didn't have to give me 300 hats for my event.
Oh, yeah,
But you're just
thank
like,
you,
let me
yeah.
just do that because it's
Yeah.
like, people wear that. That hot salami hat is so funny. These kids, like a bunch of like high school kids that I know are wearing it at the gym. They think it's like hot
Yeah.
salami. It's like a dirty joke.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they think
That's
it
kind
is.
of the, it's,
That was
we're,
what you
we're
went for.
nodding at it a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
but
They're like,
no,
they
we're
wear it
not.
at the gym and they're like, my hot salami hat.
Yeah, like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's like it's a brand, and although STL Bucket List, we've only been doing this for 5 years. Like I have that same intensity with my brand. I'm
Yeah.
like, how can we? Because the second we partner or collaborate or even host somebody on the podcast that might have a bad brand, like
Yeah.
that could affect us too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? So now
Yeah.
it's hard. You never know. But like at the end of the day, you guys are selling sandwiches, but it's so much more than that. Like there was something like in the neighborhood, like when you guys have events, the people that live in the hill. So that's the original location right there.
Oh yeah, that's it. That was built by Charlie
Wow.
Gioia.
And then the same building in the house next door still. Do you guys?
Yeah, that little brick
Yeah.
bungalow right there is that's where there was 6 kids and then Charlie and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 8 of them in that little 900 square foot shotgun, and we now use it as our office for the employee. So the hill's a juggernaut, and we have a great manager, Alyssa, and a great team behind her. And so she needs an office. Like it's a big job.
Yeah.
So like that was like that. And that was my first job. So I'm like, and Mom, I would sit on a milk crate, and do work. And cause that's just what we did. But I'm like, so we turned it into an office for her. And then it's also the break room for the crew.
Yeah.
So
Because they need somewhere to go.
yeah,
And,
to
like,
be away. Cause every
When you
square
say
foot.
juggernaut, it's like just a machine.
Oh, it's a machine, and
Yeah.
and it's great, and it's
Yeah.
awesome, and it's such a great customer base. Those employees, though, they need to go somewhere and decompress for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they're seeing. I mean, even on slow days, they're seeing 700, 800 people a day. Like
Yeah.
it's big. We're only open 6 hours a day. So.
Yeah, and that's crazy. It's like the volume that you do 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, right?
No, we're closed on Sundays.
Just closed on
Yeah,
Sundays, so
that's
6
a big
days a
one.
week. So you're
Yeah.
open. What is that?
10 to
30
4.
hours, 36
Yeah.
hours a week.
Yep,
and you
that's
do
it.
that much volume in
Yep,
36
that's
hours.
that's
Yeah.
our whole business model.
Mm.
We've thought about changing it, but it's like when you only have one shift, one crew, you can do so much more with that crew. You can keep, and then you don't have to hand off to another crew at
Mhm.
night. You can just create such a great culture, and the customer base sees the same people every day. Like there's just something special about that, and that's what we really. Besides the quality of the food, it's the service too, and that's my mom. That's Stephen. I mean, look at Stephen John Gioia. They stayed on for 10 years after they sold it to us, just to make sure we were doing it right.
Yeah,
like that.
That's how much they cared.
That's
they
the
culture
culture that we
away.
have.
They could have just walked away.
Yeah,
and retired
but their
and,
name's on the building, and I honor that. I put every Gioias that we have. The family, the original family, the Gioia family is on each one of the doors, and that's what I look at when I come in and when I leave, because that's the legacy I have to live up to.
Exactly.
Mary Gioia coming down and yelling at me because I overcooked the hot salami. I need to do that.
No,
I need to
real.
make sure. Yeah.
It's real, man, and you can taste it. I mean, you can taste it in the food. I mean, the service and all that. But it goes beyond that. You talked a little bit off air about business and what you guys have been bringing to it. So for the people that are listening, we have a lot of people in the hospitality industry that listen to our show. They look up to you probably. I hope they look up to you.
I hope so too. I ran and hid after COVID because I'm not as putting myself out there as much as I used to, but I'm getting better. But I'm getting back into it. COVID was hard, and I just focused on my family and the business. And now, but I want to get back out there and mentor people now. I've positioned myself now. I used to be the kid. Yeah, like you're the kid probably. You're the 27-year-old, right? 27.
Yeah, 28 now.
You're hustling.
Yeah.
You're hustling.
And people want to take you under their wing and kind of give you some advice. But then eventually, I'm going to be doing that to other people.
Exactly. And for some reason after COVID, because our industry got decimated during COVID, I survived it, and we kind of thrived during it. Yeah. So now we're like me and my wife are the statesmen kind of. So it's nice, and I want to be able to give.
And you're
mentorship.
out in front of the camera too. A little bit
I
too.
try to be.
What advice would you give to some of these restaurant owners? Because it's hard. I talk to these people all the time, and they're trying to. You mentioned Grubhub. They're trying this. They can't update their website. They can't deal with Instagram. Like, what would be like some simple ways of advice that you would give to some of these people when it comes to holistically the whole business itself?
I think the best piece of advice I ever got was have a vision, and by that I mean literally think of yourself 5 years from now and where you want to be. And I got advice from. There's this company out of Michigan called Zingerman's. Zingerman's, it's a deli just like us, but they wrote a book about customer service. And so I went and saw them. That's how much I admire them. And he gave me a piece of advice. He goes, write down your perfect day. And so my perfect day was going to get a coffee on the hill, going to the deli and everybody liking me, all my employees liking me, and then going and checking my profit and loss statement and it be healthy. So I created a perfect day. Now take that perfect day and pull out everything about that and then back it up to where you are now. So, for example, my employees liking me in 5 years. Well, that means that I have to run a healthy business and a culturally good business that I pay my employees well. How do I do that when I'm here? Well, I gotta make sure that I have good systems and processes. I gotta make sure that I'm holding them accountable, but at the same time I'm rewarding them when they're good. That I have good hiring practices. So you start backing it up, and then your P&L. You got a healthy P&L, which is a profit and loss statement. You want to make sure that you have a good price menu. That you're not too high price, not too low price. You're right where you need to be, and then you also need to make sure you have great vendors. So all these things, he made me write it all out, me and my wife, and we literally went to Herman, Missouri, and we did a 1-day retreat, and we wrote all this on the board.
Just you and her? Yeah.
Just me and her. My mother-in-law watched the kids, and then all we did was we created a roadmap to get to that best day. And every year we revisit that day and we change it and we make it a little bit better, and then we back up to where we are now and how to get there. That's
amazing. First of all, that's great advice. I think I want to try that as well. So the best day ever. How often do you have that day?
I have that a lot now. I had a lot of. It took a long time, but I mean, to go into to be a respected person of a community, to go into a coffee shop and know everybody there, and know him, and not only as the sandwich guy, but as a man of integrity in the community. That's part of my day. Also going in and having managers that are engaged and telling me what they're doing to make the business better, not me telling them what they're doing. I mean, I just have a great crew. I have a great director of ops, or he's a VP of ops. He's Amanda's father, actually, and he is just we call him the dynamo, because he's just excellent at the job. He's taught me so much. He's a great father-in-law, and I love him. And he's at the end of his career, and he's like, I want to help you with this. And he came in, and he's just helped us, me and Amanda, grow it more. and he just develops talent. And so it's just like every day is great right now. It's wonderful. Besides January stinks.
Yeah.
That's because of the weather.
Yeah, and still now with all these things with like online ordering and pickups, it's probably made that hopefully better because people aren't waiting in line. I know the first time that I moved from Winsfield to South City, and then I was like, okay, I'm looking up on Google. Okay, where am I going to go? I went and come see you guys, and then you're like waiting around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, you go up to the window. They're like, no, come around front. You don't know because like
it's tricky.
It's different,
it's tricky.
you know. But like one time I ate lunch there. You know, went across to the park, took a Zoom call. So like there's all these different things with you guys, but you guys are so big, and you mentioned being upstanding in the community. That's what we want to do as well. You know, now we have a family in St. Louis. We're trying to build this brand. My wife's a teacher actually.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's a teacher at Parkway Central. So
nice.
When you were talking about teaching, I'm like, yeah, we come from our family. She loves it. So she doesn't do the business full time, but she still is like my proofreader. She's the podcast co-host. She does all these things, but the organizational skills that she gets from teaching and the stuff that she puts up with those kids is crazy. And high school kids are.
Oh yeah, and
I mean, you have a lot of high school kids that work for you.
Yeah,
too.
and empathy and patience and the fact that like, man, what's going on in their brain is a lot different than us. Like the chemicals in their brain and like. And empathy and listening goes a long way. But then also, like, people want to be held accountable, and people want to know the path to doing a good job. And if they don't know they're doing a good job, that's your failure. If they don't know they're doing a bad job, that's not their problem. That's our problem.
Yeah.
We need to give them a path. So, and that's how we created a culture of people that want to do a great job.
Yeah, and you guys have 60 people now, and when you really think of it, those 60 people have families. Some of those people are getting married. Some of those people are having children on their own. You know?
I have. I mean, like my executive team, this is their career. Like we have, and I'm so proud of that. We people buying homes. People, I mean, you know, we have 401k, we have health insurance. We are a business now. This is we take ourselves very seriously.
It was a lot different in 2016. When
I mean, my mom, it was a different vision for her. My mom's whole goal was to keep the lights on. And I said, Mom, let's stop surviving and let's start thriving. And that's as simple as that. And she was always thriving. She just didn't realize it because she's really the magic behind Gioia's.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's hard to like take a step back, and I say this in a lot of my episodes, and I'm sure that you do this now. But it's like, how can I take a step back? Like you're sitting here on the podcast, like on your way home, just think about all the stuff that's going on under that umbrella right now.
Yeah.
You know, and like you could probably like now we have all the technology. You can come and look at all the P&Ls, and you're like, wow, we had a good day. You know, and you'll text your people. But like building a culture and building a team, I just started to realize that. I used to try to do everything on my own because I just really loved it. And I really was obsessed with the process. But I think it was Gary Vee, and he was like, okay, 100% of you is great, but you can only do so much. What if you got 5 people to do 20% of what you used to do? You know? And they add other things to the table as well. A lot of people on my team are a lot better than me at a lot of different things. And
that's how I am too.
I'm just kind of the CVO now, like Chief Vision, just trying to like, you know, find different ways to be creative, because we're in a business with STL Bucket List where it's not really even, there's no framework for it. At least you could go to Michigan and get advice from another deli.
Yeah, we're in
a new digital world where we're like, we don't know how to monetize
changing every day.
We don't know how to monetize. When we do monetize, we want to make sure that we're fair if somebody is paying. So we're like, how can we, and it's like similar to a magazine, but even the magazine model is changing. Like those people are struggling too now because they're like, why am I paying to be in your magazine, but you're not printing anymore?
Yeah.
So it's like, now you're putting me on your website or, you know, or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's tough. I mean,
absolutely.
The marketing world is tough. So you guys do all your own marketing, social wise. Do you guys do your website stuff? All that?
I just do it all. And you said something about like, how do I build a team of people that are embraced? And what it comes down to is I'm a very curious person. And I kind of know that I'm not very good at stuff, and I tell everybody like I don't know, like I'm dyslexic, and then I have the worst ADHD, and I was never medicated for it. Yeah. And that's just me. And my wife's amazing at keeping me on track. But if it was up to me, I would just be like wandering around, like looking at people make sandwiches in different cities because I'm so curious. But my curiosity has led me to realize like, wow, you're really good at that. Show me how you did that again. And everybody wants to show somebody how good they are at something. And it's not because I'm doing that to get anything out of them. I'm just curious. And then what it's turned into, it's like, do you think you can like create a job out of that? And then I can pay you for that? And it's like, yeah. Like right now, we have an amazing customer service person. She's amazing, and she trains everybody at the Hill. I'm like, do you think you could do this like at all the stores? And she's like, yeah, I was been waiting for you to ask me that. And it's just because we're curious and we appreciate people.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And you're creating roles and like leaning into what people are good at.
Yeah. And
Instead
then my
of-
thing is like, okay, what does it mean to do a good job at this job?
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start holding you accountable to those things. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Handshake. And that's it. And then it's like, now let's hold you accountable. And then all I do is hold her accountable to them.
Exactly.
And then she loves it because this is exactly what she's wanted to do.
Right.
So,
And
yeah.
she created it. Feels like her role. That she
Well, it's
created.
ownership. It's
Yeah.
absolutely her role.
Taking ownership, and that's another tough part, is because of course nobody's going to care as much as you, and but
Yeah.
if you can get them if you can paint that vision correctly, then
Yeah.
that's what it is. And it's not like they don't care, it's just you're obsessed, where you're going to
Yeah.
wake up and drive your car around at 4 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah,
like
exactly.
make sure that everything's but
And
dude,
what's funny though is my Valley Park my GM at Valley Park, he was also driving his car around, and he was texting me, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I almost slid into a pole. I don't think we should open." I'm like, "Okay, me too." Like, I mean, like it's crazy. We just have people that love working. We have core values, and one of the values is ownership, and that's something we look into for people. Yeah. Everybody wants to care about something, and like especially now where there's so much, it just seems like it's like entertainment's really cheap. And like dopamine dumps are really cheap. So to actually get there and do the work and see the results, see those customers happy because of your work, like there's nothing better. And if you find those people that agree with you, like magic happens,
exactly one sandwich at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
And so to parlay off that, then like the St. Louis community, I mean, the way that they've wrapped your arms around you, I mean, how does that support feel? I mean, could you even put that into words? Or?
No, it's just amazing. Like St. Louis is such a cool town. Like the collaboration scene, like is just so neat. I came in 2008, and there was this transition where we were going from. It's funny. Like when I was a kid, my mom, I used to not tell people my mom owned Gioias because I felt like I was going to get made fun of that she wears a red apron. And now, like, that's the coolest. Like, it's a shift. People now realize just that we are the cultural fabric. The restaurant scene and the small business scene is the cultural fabric of this city. And it's so great to now realize what I bet everybody realized, but I just was insecure about it because back in the day, we always felt like we were kind of a service-based industry. I felt you feel like you're kind of a second-class citizen, and in no way are you.
Yeah.
And so like that is the shift that I think that our generation and your generation. I'm an elder millennial or whatever, and it's just like people understand how important craftsmanship is because everything's so easy and so cheap. But then when you have someone that was born into a business and makes sausage every day and has been since he was 10 years old, there's an honor to that, and that people just embrace that. All I do is just do what I always do, but now I got people like you. They're like, look at this guy.
Yeah,
it's so cool. It's so,
real.
And my mom is really the one. My mom's the real champion of everything, and she's the one that I feel so bad that she didn't get celebrated like this. Like I feel like I am.
What do you mean, like with through the media and through awards,
Yeah, like
and through
exactly.
magazines,
I mean,
and all that?
we won the James Beard Award in 2017. I had owned the Deli for a year.
Yeah.
That wasn't my award.
Yeah,
was
that's
Steve's
why in the video it's like, "Hey, mom, come into the video."
Yeah,
You're
it's like, Mom, this is
Yeah.
your award. This is Steve and
Yeah.
John's award. This is Charlie's award.
Exactly.
I'm standing on your shoulders.
Yeah.
It just
I just
so
answered the
happened-
phone call that day.
It just so happened that I was born in a time when we have the internet and people can now find out about us.
Yeah.
Like I'm just so fortunate that I'm the luckiest guy in the world because of that.
Was that a moment? Was the James Beard Award? I mean, you guys win like in the magazines every year and all
Yeah,
types of
we
stuff.
do pretty good,
But like
yeah.
that James Beard, like, was there a single moment when you took over the business from 2016 to now where you're like, you feel completely content and like there's an aha moment, or was that aha moment the second you started working when you were a kid? Like when did that aha moment hit?
It's funny. I just graduated college. I was supposed to be a teacher. I ended up I couldn't find a job because it was 2008, and my wife and my mom was like, hey, work a couple shifts at the deli. And then she just finally gave me keys and she let me manage it. And I remember my wife was in law school at night, and I locked the door of the deli and I walked to my truck on Daggett, and I turned around just to make sure the door was locked, and I looked at the deli, and I'm like, this is my life. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. And it was that moment. And it was just a lovely evening on the hill. and I was like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no more what ifs. I'm all in. And that was it. That was my aha moment. It was just, I smelled like onions. I had my apron over my shoulder. I was getting in my truck. I was dead after a long day, but I was like, I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
That was it. That was my aha moment.
And that was 2008, so you had just graduated college. So you're
Yep.
probably only like 23 at the time.
Yeah, right out. Yeah. 23, 24, yeah.
I mean, how lucky are you though to really, like, you mentioned your wife, like to find your wife and to find your passion, and that's it. Like, you didn't have to search for I mean, there's people your age that are still searching for both of those things.
I know.
You know, friends of yours, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I mean,
Yeah.
I have buddies that have been searching forever, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've had the same girlfriend my whole life. Man and I met. We're on the same street in South City on Winona. Our daughter's name is Winona because of it, Macklin Winona.
Love that.
And we high school sweethearts, went to college together, and we and then I've had the same job my whole life too. So yeah, I'm pretty stubborn. I think that I was just gifted because gifted in the fact that I met her when I did, and then that my parents own Gioia's Deli. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a gift.
Yeah, no, but you're taking it. I mean, you're really like putting the bull by your horns. And like, I don't see what goes on all the time, but I can just tell. I mean, I mentioned too before, but like how you present it on social media, like you're grinding every day to try to push that needle
Yeah,
forward. Like every
course.
follower, every post, every person
Yeah.
that sees this post is a representation of what we serve every day.
Yeah.
And as you scale, it gets harder. It's harder to have that same exact experience that you can't
Absolutely.
replicate what you have in the hill
No,
at any other
no.
location. It's nearly impossible. It is impossible.
I
to
had
replicate
a vision meeting with my crew just recently, and an employee goes, Alex, I just don't want you to turn into a cheap knockoff of yourself.
Mhm.
And I was like, ooh, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, well, how can we not do that? Because it's just not me, it's all of us. And then it's like, and then we start talking about training, and like now every employee that we hire works up the hill for 80 hours. And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
it's like
2 full
you got to
weeks.
infuse them with what we are.
Yeah.
The fact that we were serving Yogi Berra, I serve Yogi Berra. You get Provel and mustard, hot salami, Provel and mustard. The fact that Joe Graziola used to feed the Mets when he was there, just like everybody has been through that place.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not our deli. We are representing a tradition of St. Louis.
Yeah.
And that starts at the hill.
And I think no, you're exactly right. And I think that's why during the pandemic, you probably were so successful, is people were rallying behind people like you. And they were like, hey, if we're going to rally behind it, we're going to rally behind these spots right here. And your neighborhood, the Hill, is a perfect example of like, it is literally like just thriving every night. You go there on a Friday night, you drive right by the fountain, you go by Pizzeria de Gloria, then you get that's my favorite thing to do. That's one of my bucket list spots, is you get the pizza, get a spritz, and then you go over to the gelato spot, DeRusso, right there.
great.
You sit by the fountain. Like, that's a date night vibe right there. That's a good date night vibe.
I lived on
You got to go to
Marconi.
Gioia's for lunch, then you go home, take a nap.
Well,
and then
I was
you go
going to
back.
say, I don't know if I'd recommend Gioia's hot salami and then a pizza. You're probably going to need
and then a date, not a first date.
Yeah, not a first date. Don't do a first date. Maybe take a nap before that, like you said. So, but man, that piazza. So I lived on Marconi until just recently, and man, we would take our kids up there and just hang out and like eat gelato and play chess. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, unless you got to go across the pond to get that. You got to go to Italy to get that. Like, we are a true Italian neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Well, you even go to New York. I mean, Little Italy is just not.
No.
It's not even close. I mean, it's a
You walk
tourist
down
town.
and everybody's just kind of screaming at you to come in their shop.
Yeah, they're like, hey, menu.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean,
It's
it's cool. It's a cool spot, but it's
Yeah.
just like, it's not like the
It's
Hill.
not the Hill.
Yeah.
It's not the Hill, where everybody owns their own building.
Yeah.
And like John and Tony's next door, he owns that building. And guess who's making your food? Tony.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the real deal. The DiGregorios. Guess who's going to ring you out? Guess who's cutting your meat?
Yeah.
The DiGregorios. It's
I went
just
there on
amazing.
the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I couldn't even go. It was like a 3-hour wait.
Yeah.
And then
As you should, because
yeah.
of the internet,
Yeah.
everybody now knows about the places. Because our generation,
yeah, people like us were posting about
Craftsmanship.
it, and then we're
exactly,
Yeah,
because
and then
you
people are like, "Wait,
crave
there's this
it."
cool place that's like
Yeah.
super," and they want to put it on Instagram.
Yeah,
They don't want to go to Schnucks. I mean, Schnucks is great, but they want to take a picture in front of the coffee, in front of Shaw's. Or
exactly,
whatever,
and they
you know?
want the authentic experience.
Yeah.
It's the greatest gift you could give to people like me and the DiGregorios, the Volpes, the everybody, the Canados, everybody, the Favazas. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then even new people coming to the neighborhood. I mean, you got Carnivore and all those guys on that street. Sato, one of the best restaurants in the country, right there in the Hill, which is crazy. Nick is nuts. That place is so good.
The second week, and I was like, dude, because I love sushi. I went to Uchi, which is they wanted James Beard, so I was like, ooh, I'm gonna go check them out. And I went down to Austin and tried it. And it was as good as Uchi, if not better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is in the middle of the United States, and this is this
In
good.
an Italian neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's
I
the
thought the
old
neighborhood would
Giovanni's.
be. I wonder what the neighborhood thinks of it.
Oh, they love it.
Oh, they do? Yeah.
The neighborhood.
Yeah.
Oh, that neighborhood is 100% supportive of any business willing to take a risk there.
Yeah.
That's what makes the hill so
Okay, I was
great.
wondering about that.
There's none of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like there's a coffee shop down the street that everybody knows Shaw Coffee. Then there's another coffee shop on Daggett, and everybody supports that too. It's just like we're just so happy to have people there serving and doing a good job.
Yeah.
That's it. Because that we understand that the city is it's hard to keep these neighborhoods rich, and they know that the backbone is these corner markets.
You need density too. You need a lot of density. I mean, a lot of the neighborhoods have taken turns. In the Grove is popping, Lafayette Square is great, but they take turns because there's no, like you mentioned, ownership. It all comes back to ownership.
Yep.
Your guys, the majority of that neighborhood is owned by those families.
Yep.
Where you go to the Grove and that's all investors and all these things.
Yeah.
It's hard to even.
Well, and it's tough when you got three or four people in your pocket trying to run a business.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a profit, and then you start every month, every 5 years, you look at your lease and goes, "Ooh, I don't know if that's worth it."
Yeah.
Guess who's never had to make that decision? Tony, because he owns his building. Me, because I own my building. Like so, it's like the DiGregorios. They own those buildings. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because you're going to fix your sidewalk because it's your sidewalk.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're going to paint the exterior of your building because it's yours. You're not going to go request it from a landlord from California. You know, I mean, it's your. That's the beauty of the hill.
And that's why it's so pretty. You know? And
it's safe. It's pretty. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. So it is the STL Bucket List show.
Yep,
I've been waiting. A lot of people, you know, I told them I was having you on. They're like, I want to hear his STL Bucket List. I want to hear Alex's spot. So the STL Bucket List is really simple. It's just places that you love that are your bucket list spots. So places to eat, places to parks, things to do with your kids, maybe date nights, anything that you think would be a bucket list spot for you. Go ahead. Let's roll.
This is pretty easy for me. I mean, like, so you got to go to Milo's. Milo's on the hill.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. The alderman of the neighborhood is the guy that owns it. So if you got a complaint, you go in there and you be like, hey, man, my dumpster didn't get picked up, and he's serving you a beer. He's like, I'll take care of it. That's the hill. I love Milo's. I love their chicken wings. I love them. I go to John and Tony's every Christmas Eve. It's a family tradition right across the street. He's got a key to my place. I got a key to his place. I love that place. Trattoria Marcella, probably the best Italian off the hill, in my opinion. I love downtown Webster. O&O Pizza. Mike Risk, he used to run Trattoria Marcella. He took that soul and put it in O&O Pizza. That's amazing. I mean, there's so many. I love Lauren over at Balkan. She does a great job. Another great Bosnian place is J. Pizzeria's. Right, it's actually in Concord Plaza over by Ronnie's. I mean, shoot, Ted Drew's. Ted Drew's on a nice night, and then you go and hang out in Francis Park with your kids. There's nothing better than that. Or you go and now you can go get a beer while in Francis Park, which is really stinking cool.
Yeah.
You know, at Rockwell, like just get around and go to the hill, park and follow your nose. Go in and see Mimi over at Missouri Baking Company and get a cannoli. You know, you can't go wrong anywhere you go. I mean, like you said, DiGregorio's, like Volpe, like. Another place that I really love that nobody really talks about is Chocolates. They're on the hill. They're on Pattison. You go in there, and they have probably the best chocolate shop in probably the nation. And it's in a nondescript neighborhood, and it's where they manufacture their chocolate. It's amazing. They'll take a tour. You can do a tour with your family. They get little chocolate hats.
Yeah, people don't talk about it, but they're so big. I mean, they've been crushing it for years.
They're
just under the radar.
Nobody even realizes it, but they also own Bissinger's, and Bissinger's is a huge brand.
Yeah.
And it's just in what I always thought they were just the place next to Ted Drew's.
Yeah.
And these guys are just doing a great job, and they're great neighborhood people. They do so much for so many people. They're catering us tomorrow because they know we're having trouble right now because everybody's having trouble. So they're feeding their crew 75 people. Like it's just like that's the neighborhood. So I mean. You know, there's so many great places to go. Yeah. I love the Cyberg group. I grew up with Rick Cyberg. He's a great guy. I think they're doing a great job. It's a great bar and grill. I love them. They're all local. The money stays in St. Louis. So
they crush it too.
They do.
It. I mean, they're Helens too, and Twisted Tree.
Twisted Tree. I mean, Tyler Layton running that place is probably one of my one of the best chefs in St. Louis, in my
I'm
opinion.
interested to see how that downtown location is probably popping now with the soccer stadium.
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
I was just there. He
yeah.
said they're killing it. Like it's standing room only most games.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, they're doing great.
Well, man, thank you
I
for
got so
coming on.
many.
Dude.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
man.
dude, that's perfect.
Yeah,
That's
I could eat Russell's gooey butter cake every night of the week.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I could go. Just name a topic, and I'll give you a bucket list about it.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's what I say. Like, because sometimes I theme it for people. I'm like, hey, give us a summer one, give us a winter one,
Yeah.
give us a baseball game one.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing before the game? Now people are like, give me a sweets bucket list because that gooey butter cake. You can only eat it like every other day. You'll get that's a lot if you eat it
It's
every
a lot.
day.
It's so good.
No, it is good. Their brunch is good. But yeah, the Hill, like one of the first spots I went to on a date anniversary was Charlie Gito's. Got the
Yeah, he does a
arancini
great
there.
job.
And then what was I just tried the Shaw's coffee's great, but I did try Cafe Dolce, super cute. That's probably the one you were talking about.
Yeah, Cafe Dolce. Yeah,
super
sorry.
cute, small spot, all these flavors, like they
Yeah.
have all these different things. But yeah, man, the Hill is just special. But like I said, I think it doesn't get talked about enough in media as I wish it would.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
even the Italian restaurants, they're like
I
they
know,
talk about all
it's-
these other Italian restaurants
Because we're staples. Because we're not
you
hiring.
don't change
P-
up. There's no new things going. It's
we're
just
not hiring PR companies to
Yeah.
do our new launch or anything. It's just we just do a good job, and we got our customer base. We have our disciples, and we're paying our bills, and we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, you talk about parks. Oh, I'm sorry. You talk about arancinis. My favorite thing in the world is La Festa. It's the school picnic for St. Ambrose.
Okay.
If you want real food, if you want real Italian food, all the little ladies that help run the school, they make all the food at the festival.
Yeah.
And they have a multi what is that called, like an orchestra of men, all Italian men playing on the steps. It's like The Godfather. Like it's like the wedding.
Yeah.
It's the best thing to do in St. Louis.
Yeah.
It's La Festa at Ambrose, and then they have like a fair back.
Anybody can just go. They just pull up.
It's
raise money
La
for the
Festa.
school.
La Festa, it's the party. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And all the funds go back to the school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. We serve hot salami there, and we give all the money back to them, and that's like a no-brainer. And it's just like, and like we're busy, everybody's busy, and it's all good food. I mean, it's the Hill.
Yeah.
And then you walk and you have a couple of beers, and you walk the neighborhood and have a good time.
Yeah. No, that's incredible.
That's probably my favorite unique thing to do in St. Louis.
That's something I didn't know about it. I didn't know that.
La
I know they
Festa.
had like the wine walk, and then I know they had. One of the bucket list spots is that spot that I went to. They do the Wine Wednesdays over there.
Wine Down Wednesdays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
that
that
place
venue
is
is
awesome.
unbelievable. I went there
Yeah.
in the summer. They had that greenery, the
that's
ivy up
awesome.
on the roof. I mean, it was one of the most sexy, but also like classy spots.
Yeah.
Like and like
I saw
went,
you did a post about
Yeah.
him, and I was like, you did it justice. Like I was like, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was hard.
And you nailed it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
And we didn't know about that. We just went there one day, and then we were like, "Oh my god! Like I have to post this." But like there is those things when we post. It's like we want to post bucket list spots, but we're also like we want our own spots too that nobody knows about. So that's like the mix of like how do we post,
I know.
and then how do we also.
That's what I love about La Festa. They don't have a PR company. They put a sign on the church door. Like that's La Festa.
and
it's
that's what I
so
feel
great.
about your real estate market. There is like there's no like listings. It's
Yeah.
just all internal. Like you have a
Yeah.
listing like on the board at restaurants.
When
like,
I
we
was
got
looking
house
for a
sale.
place,
Yeah.
I said, Mom, I need a place to live. She goes, hold on. And she called Father Bomarito. Father Bomarito was like, hey, I got a couple people looking for renters because we wanted to rent. And she found me a place within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That were not listed. She's like, we're a good family. They'll do it. They'll treat your property right. And that's what it is. I mean,
badass.
the house I bought,
Yeah.
the house I bought on Marconi, I got in. I was seeing that before I even went on the market because they told the church, and the church was like, I know you're looking. So
Yeah.
that's the
and they
Hill.
want to now they want to keep it in the neighborhood. That's amazing,
Yeah.
man. Well, hey, appreciate you for coming
Yeah,
on.
that was so much fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. We'll see you. And if you actually just drop some tags and website if you want to let the people know.
Gioiasdeli.com. It's GIOIASDELI.com. And I'm Gioia's Deli on everything else. So you can find me on Threads, if anybody gets on Threads, Instagram, Facebook. I'm trying out TikTok. I'm an old guy, so I'm getting there. I like it, but I spend too much time on it. So, and that's basically it.
Appreciate it, man. Well, guys, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks again for tuning in to the STL Bucket List Show. This podcast is presented by Bankhead and Firth Ortho. Bankhead and Firth is family-friendly and family-focused right here in St. Louis. They just celebrated their 50-year anniversary, and they have 5 locations that are all near you right here in St. Louis. Head over to their website at bankheadandfirthortho.com.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.